Swensons, the family behind Let's Adventure More.
Wait, name change?
Yes, we made it shorter. Less of a mouthful.
And last year, we took an epic adventure, a field trip, if you will, around the world.
And halfway through, we had some troubles with Wi-Fi, and we're just traveling way too fast, so we weren't able to upload a lot of our weekly videos.
Or to just slow down and enjoy it while living in the moment.
Yes, so we have been going through old footage and old pictures and decided that we should pick this up because we like it. We like watching the videos, and our kids like them too.
And dadgummit, she's cute.
And we hope you enjoy them as well. So we've decided to share more about our trip around the world.
Here we are in week 18 in New Zealand.
We are still in the South Island exploring with our camper van, and we pick it up where we have a little tour of how we live life in a camper van with 5 of us.
Freedom camping around both the North and the South Island.
And there's an app for that where you can go and look on reviews and just park anywhere, which is really cool and very much unlike some parts of the U.S. We have heard that a lot of times you feel inundated with a lot of people RVing or paying expensive costs, but in New Zealand, it's very much still wild and free there.
Freedom camping in New Zealand is amazing. And basically, as long as you have a flush your own toilet porta potty along with your camper van and you're certified, you can quite literally park anywhere that it doesn't say no parking. So you drive until you're tired and then you stop.
Little rule about the potty in our camper van, since William was in charge of cleaning it, we weren't allowed to use it.
Well, you could
for
go
solids.
number 1, but number 2, yeah, that was a no-no.
And it actually worked out just fine. So we made sure to do solids elsewhere, and they had a lot of public toilets that we used instead.
Could utilize, yes.
So does that mean we were full-fledged RVers if we didn't do that?
We're 2/3 RVers, or 1/2. I don't know.
This is our New Zealand home. Hi. Hi. This is a juicy camper van. Want to have you to them? Come with me. You want to see well me as well and my sister sleeps for the nights. Follow me. This is where you cook. You need to do this. And these are the dials. If you want to do overhead lights or in the bunk, you press overhead lights. And these are the pockets where you can put your silverware and glass and stuff. Okay, this is where we eat. My sister or my mama is right here, and someone else is here, and then one of our 2 people is here and here. And that's our dining area. Thank you. Hello. I'm going to show you how this bed pulls out. So, first you need to unlatch this. Then, if you have the table in the way, you push this. You undo that, and then you lay it across there. Then you pull this out, and then after, you push this down, and then add this here. And I'm going to...
Oi, glad you could make it. This is the Mobile Command Center for all things mobile transport while here in lovely New Zealand. Here is the device that I use to roll back and forth. It takes us from place to place. Down there's this thing I mash. I stomp on it when I gotta get going. I stomp on the next one when I gotta get stopping. This is where I put the magic elixir that keeps me awake long enough to get from where I am to where I wanna be. This is a joystick. I grab this sucker, I put it down in gear, and then I start mashing. It takes me from here to there with a big smile on my face. Cheers!
One of the cool things about world schooling or families that travel for extended periods of time is that you tend to group together. And so we found this amazing family, Sarah and Josh, who were in the South Island and invited us to stay with them. We used our camper van and just parked outside, and they fed us, and we had great community time and hanging out at all their hot local spots. So it was really fun to be able to connect with locals and to make friends along the way. And we actually see them later in our year when they decide to go out on their trip around the world.
And it was nice knowing people and making friends around the world and having locals wherever we went that we could call friends.
We also did a day trip to Amaru. Sarah took us there for the day, and it's a Victorian steampunk area, and there was a really cool park there that the kids played at.
That was a place with a lot of cool things, but also a lot of pain. Theo took a nice little dive while climbing up this structure, this play structure, and he came down and he hit his head, and we were scared for a little bit.
So he just basically complained of he didn't have mobility in his neck, which to any parent, there's a problem here, right? So we ended up rushing him to the local hospital. By the time the doctor saw him, he was fine. So he had his mobility back and he felt good. And
yeah, fortunately, little kids at certain ages are kind of made out of rubber, and sometimes that rubber bends and hurts, and then it just goes back into shape. So,
yeah. So
fortunately, he was okay.
Yeah.
We also got to stop and see a cute little French town down on the South Island called Akaroa. It was settled by the French. The streets all start with rue this and rue that, and it was a fascinating little town.
It was adorable.
Beautiful.
It was so cute.
You could freedom camp right there along in the parking lot next to the water.
No, we ended up finding another small little family from France who were taking like 3 months off, and they had a little girl the same age as Vesper, so they played pretty much the entire time. And we actually had met them earlier, but this was the second time we ran into them, so it was just kind of a common loop that camper vans do. And so we joined again at this campsite station.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to be able to hang out with them for more.
And then we see them later in the year in France.
In France, yeah. And then while the kids were playing frisbee, Theo, it's always Theo, he stepped on a bee, and his poor little foot, and this was like his second or third time that he had stepped on or had been stung by a bee. And so we had iced it and put stuff in the beginning, and then we just didn't continue because he seemed better, and it just ballooned. And literally the next day we were flying out of Christchurch, right? And so we were flying, and he couldn't wear shoes. We had to carry him.
And some people swell anyway, just from the pressure going up in the air.
We were worried about the pressure in the air because we had never flown with
It was
swelling before.
There was a lot of discomfort for him, some pain, but in the end he was fine. But the timing of it was a bit
Again,
rough.
it was like, oh my gosh, we just got over this other incident, and now Theo is this other incident. And I was Googling like bee sting and swelling and when you should be concerned and all of that. So that was kind of crazy. And that night we had spent the night at the camper van location, the rental place, which you're technically not supposed to do, but we were leaving so early, so we wanted to make sure to already have it in place so that we could drop off the vehicle before heading to the airport. So
yeah,
that was a little sketchy.
I would not recommend sleeping in the parking lot of the camper van return lot.
No, but there's nowhere else really close to do, and
Not
we were
there.
trying to be cheap, so.
As you would.
And it was raining, remember? It was like totally downpour rain.
remember.
I did not sleep well that night.
Who did?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And then in the morning, we jumped on a plane and said a couple prayers for Theo's foot and made it to Singapore.
Enjoy your day is in French. Je vous souhaite une belle journée. Je vous souhaite une belle journée.